The other day though, I was. It was actually it was yesterday when I was at the winery.
Oh yeah.
The two people that I was there with were like, Matt, we just want to say that we love it when you just shriek at anything that like surprises you. Whenever you go, ah!
So wait, who did you go with, and why wasn't I invited?
Well, now I'm recording the podcast, so I'm not going to say their names. Um,
Why? Because they're not allowed to be known?
okay, Slay. I don't want to just out people on the podcast about things. I don't
Out
know.
them for what? Drinking wine?
Yeah, drinking wine, hanging out with a gay man, like that's got some societal implications there, you know?
And here I thought this podcast was all about breaking down societal misconceptions about being involved with queer people, and yet you are just reinforcing them.
If that's
So what you're saying is that you're the problem.
I am the problem, yes.
Things that my mother has said to me for $10.
Anyway, these two people were there. You weren't invited because you don't know these people very well. Anyway.
That's why I'm invited, so I could get to know people.
Also,
I'm not invited to many things, apparently.
You don't invite me to things either, so
That's not true. I tried inviting you to that last thing, and then you couldn't go.
which thing?
Oh wait, no, that's because Kelly was sick. Oh yeah, then we didn't do that because Kelly was sick.
Oh yeah, and then we were supposed to go out separately and we also didn't do that, I think.
Yeah, because then I was worried that I was sick.
Anyway,
I didn't know, though. It's just my fault for getting sick, apparently.
hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the What Do the Gays Think podcast. I am Matt Klubeck, and today with me I have my grandmother, Patrick. How you doing, Pat?
I'm happy you remembered that was going to be your line.
Yeah, I did remember that, and I also remembered that we have to explain something in this episode as well.
Oh, is it about is it because I eat pussy?
Ah!
Is that the line? One of the lines. You have to explain something that we said. What was it?
Oh God, why don't I remember? What?
But you can't bring it up with that. Wait, it's
I just remembered we had to explain something, and I completely forgot what we had to explain.
Tango Uncomfortable?
Oh yeah, Tango Uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's another inside joke that we have to tell people about. So when Jackie started that bar fight, you remember?
Okay.
Or we were just nearby. We were nearby the bar fight. Some guy walks over to us, and I guess he only spoke Spanish. So he comes up to us, and he's trying to talk to Jackie in Spanish, and Jackie's like, "Oh yeah, yo hablo español," like I speak Spanish. But she goes, or they go, un poco," like they only speak it a little bit.
Yeah. I love how Jackie said it with such conviction and then was like, had to backtrack and go, wait, I don't want to misinform you. I actually don't speak it that much.
No, it's like only a little bit.
Yeah.
And then as things are advancing, like, I guess they go to talk to the guy again and they go, tango uncomfortable. Because apparently they didn't know the word for uncomfortable in Spanish. And I don't even know if tango is the right word for that either.
It doesn't tango mean like, I have? No, it's like, is it I have?
Yeah, it's I have. It's I have.
Yeah. Okay, work. I mean, yeah, instead of like, I have uncomfort or discomfort, not I am uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's probably ways. You know what? I could look it up right now, but I also don't want to.
Okay, is it because I eat pussy?
That's a different one that we also haven't explained.
I don't. Jackie said that, but I don't know if we ever figured out why. Like, what preluded that interaction.
Oh, it was probably just us roasting Jackie about something, us saying like, Jackie, calm down or something, and they were probably just like, it's because I eat pussy?
Yeah, I mean, no, but that would explain the hair in their mouth.
Okay, Slay.
Anyway.
Did you know that the Game of Thrones spin-off is out now?
Yeah, it comes out tonight.
Oh, well, I didn't know it was tonight. I just saw that. Someone just posted about it on Twitter, and I was like, oh, wow, it's out. I'm not going to watch it. Are you?
I am, because I wanted to watch it and then give feedback on it here.
Okay, maybe I'll watch it then. So I'll also give feedback on here.
Yeah, it comes out, I think, tonight. It's coming to HBO Max tonight, right after it airs, or as it's airing. And I haven't heard much about it, but I mean, it's about the Targaryens prior to their fall. There are more dragons in it. Apparently there's a lot of fucking.
I hope there's some gay fucking. I'm just saying.
I mean, There was a little bit on the first show.
You didn't see it. There was barely any of it.
I
God.
know it was what's his name before he got his
He
head
died like
crushed.
immediately upon introduction of his character. Like,
Pedro Pascal is just so erotic
is that the guy who
actor.
played that?
Right,
What
yeah.
was his name?
He's from
Baratheon?
not Baratheon. What?
No.
No, I'm talking about Pedro Pascal who played the Viper,
Oh,
the guy who lost to the mountain.
I thought we were talking about the other gay guy who died immediately.
Wasn't one of the Stark children gay?
No, I don't think so. I'm
But
talking
they.
about Renly Baratheon. I remembered his name now.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he had a secret gay. Although, oh, because the brother was everyone knew the brother was gay.
Yeah, yeah, sword swallower through and through. Yes, yeah.
Thank you, Lady Olenna.
Tell Cersei it was me.
I wanted to know it was me.
Anyway, I guess I will watch it. Like, I'm not enthused about it. Like, I'm not excited about it. Like,
No, I'm absolutely not because I look at it. I saw the trailer and I was like, this just looks like another political drama in the setting of Westeros, which is exactly what Game of Thrones is. It's a political drama with fantasy elements and
oh yeah,
action,
and
but it's like a high political thing. I
the
don't.
thing about prequels that is kind of interesting, but also like kind of I don't really like them too much, is because
Mm.
like you already know where the original story begins, and the prequel is just like how it gets there. So you already kind of know the ending, but it just kind of
Well, yeah,
explains how something gets to the point that it is,
yeah.
which
You basically
works in some
know.
contexts.
Yeah, if there's enough to mine, if there's like enough details to get into, but we already know that like the Targaryens basically cannibalize themselves. Like there's infighting between the
Yeah.
members, there's inbreeding, I
Oh yeah.
think. And then they eventually ends up with only being two left, and then one left, and then none left.
Well, rip.
Spoiler alert for Game of Thrones, and I guess the ending of
Well,
House of Dragons.
I guess there's still one left.
Ooh,
Jon Snow.
she fucked her niece. Nephew.
Nephew.
I always get this
Or
confused.
niece, I don't
Anyway,
know.
well, I think he identifies as a man.
Yeah.
Apparently, because like there are like a ton of HBO spin-offs for Game of Thrones. One of them was supposed to be about what's that fucking city that was like really high in power and magic and then like vanished overnight, or like
Oh, yeah, I know what
um
you're talking about, but I also don't remember.
Valyria.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's supposed to be a show that takes place in Valyria, and I was like, because that's even further in the past. And I was like, yeah, go like way in the past.
Yeah,
Go
Gay's
so
super far
far.
in the past.
Then there was supposed to be one about the first men fighting like the original White Walker people, and then there's supposedly one going to be about John, and it's a sequel series where he's up in the north in the mountain the past the
Ooh,
wall, and I'm like,
that's intriguing.
this
Okay.
is a lot of it's a lot of then they shot that one pilot for that failed Game of Thrones show. They spent like millions on a pilot, cast like really good actors and actresses or actors or whatever, and then they just scrapped it completely. So
Well, I mean, I love that they're still trying to capitalize on this show when it bombed. The last season bombed.
I mean, yeah, but they look at the history of it and go, okay, this drew like the biggest audience, I think, to date for HBO, if not like compared to like The Sopranos or some shit. So like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, there's a market for it, and I think high fantasy is still viable. So they want
Oh
to do it,
yeah.
but I don't know how different this House of the Dragons is going to be, because like when it comes to Marvel recently, they've been basically telling superhero stories, but they do them sort of in different mediums. Like WandaVision was like a sitcom, an homage to various forms of
Yeah,
sitcoms.
yeah.
She-Hulk, the newest show, is like a procedural lawyer comedy show, like a legal show. So as long as you can put things in the same universe, in the same world, but you have to explore different things with them to make them refreshing, I
Oh
think.
yeah. Like one I don't know if I've ever like actually consumed this type, but apparently there have been certain shows where they'll go off and show a different part of the world occurring at the same time as the events occurring like in the actual
Sure.
storyline.
Yeah.
It's like a concurrent kind of viewpoint, and I really like that.
Yeah.
I remember reading about it, but I forgot what the actual like what
Great,
the actual
great
piece of media was.
conversation.
Yeah, I
I
love
think,
it.
I mean, Avatar does it great. I mean, Legend of Korra is a very successful sequel. I mean, it is a sequel, but like
Yeah,
it's different enough that you're not watching the same show again. It's not the same
yeah.
themes. It's not the same time period. It's more situations, new situations. So I think if you could do it like that, it's fine. It's perfect. It's
Oh,
great.
oh yeah. And speaking of that universe as well, we've got
Yeah,
we've got a couple things coming. I've
I'm one
seen.
of them.
Okay, right this very instant.
You just missed it. Go on.
Ah. Okay, yeah.
Go on.
I saw some casting announcements for the Avatar live action. So that's exciting. I
Yeah,
saw.
the kid who said he was First Nation but isn't.
Oh, not what I was talking about.
That happened. That happened.
Yep, I do remember that. Yes. No, they had a casting announcement for like they had the four previous avatars casted. So they have Roku, Kyoshi, Korok, and Aang, all casted. And I was like, wow, that's fun.
Well, Aang had been cast.
Yeah, I just thought
Ong.
Aang, no.
Yeah, I think this is for the Netflix series, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, I'm still upset that the original writers and creators parted ways because they didn't like the
yeah,
direction that Netflix was taking it. So I'm like, I like the casting because it looks like it's more to what the people actually were in terms of their racial identities.
yeah.
But when the lead creator of a show like doesn't like where it's going, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily going to be better than what they wanted to do because they already made a great fucking show.
Yeah, it makes me a little nervous about what's
I
going on
mean,
there.
like speaking of, and we can go back to Avatar in a second. Speaking of adaptations, like Neil Gaiman helped adapt The Sandman for Netflix, which he's been trying to adapt his comic run for like 10 years now.
Mm.
And he was involved in the process and it's flawless. So,
Wow. See, I besides like doing a comic book to a visual, or
mm,
like a manga to an anime. Besides that type of things, I don't really like
I know you don't.
remakes. I guess, because why would you take an already great form of media and remake it?
Well, do you think
Because
a comic or manga to live action is a remake or an adaptation?
I would say that's well. I mean, it's a remake in a different form. Um,
I wouldn't call it a remake. I would
okay,
call if
Slay.
someone did a show and rebooted the show a remake, but I wouldn't call it once it changes media, I think it's an adaptation and no longer a remake. A remake is like within the same media. That's for me. That's just for me.
What about like Avatar being a cartoon going to a live action? Is that a remake or is that an
Well,
adaptation?
I would have considered it a remake if the original creators had been involved, because they might just remake the show as it was just in live action.
Right.
But it's technically, I guess, a different medium source because it's no longer art. It's not a physically drawn thing. It's now live action. So,
Okay, Slay. Well,
I
we don't have to fight about semantics, but yes.
I wasn't fighting.
Okay, Slay.
The only ticks I like are deer and dog ticks.
I don't
I want.
like either of them.
I love that opossums eat like 100 ticks a night or some shit like that. They're great.
Oh, I love that. Yes, yas for possums.
Yas possum. Did you hear about the Avatar: The Last Airbender game?
Game? No, I
Yeah,
haven't. I
there
haven't.
have been Airbender Avatar games. There's a Legend of Korra game, but there was a rumor that, and I think they said it comes out in November, although it hasn't really been announced. So I'm like, maybe it'll be announced in November. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a Avatar game set in various time periods, and it is modeled after Breath of the Wild
Cute.
in art design, but it tells a very it's not open world, it tells like a closed story. And
Okay,
basically
yeah.
it's about the White Lotus group.
Interesting. Wow.
But like I think what happens is like the premise is that these people from the White Lotus meet to discuss various events that have happened in the universe, and you just play event to event using different characters. So they might talk about a story of Aang, and you'd be playing as Aang, or they might talk about a story of Korra and it plays Korra or other avatars or other people. That's what I read. It's
Interesting.
rumor and
Okay.
conjecture until I see it confirmed, but that they said it's Breath of the Wild like in terms of graphics, which a lot of people have been doing recently, like Genshin and Tower of Fantasy, that kind of
Oh yeah,
open
Pokemon.
world Pokemon.
We've seen some new Pokemon stuff too. However, I do want to
Yeah,
go real quick, also slightly back to Avatar. I would
no,
I would play the open world game if it came out. Did you say
I
no?
would, I would try it. Yeah, I wanted to see if you'd actually be like accept it, and be like, okay, I guess we're moving on.
No, no, I would play it.
Yeah,
But still speaking of Avatar, because we talked about prequels. I did read the Rise of Kyoshi book, which
are
is
there two books? Are there two Kyoshi books?
there's two. Yes, I read the first
Yeah,
one.
lesbian.
Should I spoil it? Should I?
Well, I know she has a female partner in it.
Yes, lesbian.
Yeah.
Well, I guess she's technically bi, but
Well,
yes.
why else would we be reading it? I'm not gonna read a
Listen,
fucking
I
straight
do. I
story.
want you to read it. I want you to, and then we're gonna review it on the podcast.
Well, where do I read it?
Just you want to borrow my book? I have it. I have a
I'll
physical
never
copy.
see you. I'll never see you.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'll just find it myself. How long is it?
Oh, it's like a decent, like 400 pages, I think, the first one.
My God.
But it's so good, though. It really is. It's so
You
good.
didn't even read They Both Die at the end.
Yeah, because I don't want to be sad.
Well, how about this? I'll read this if you read that, and then we can both review it.
Ah! Okay, fine,
They're
whatever.
both queer. They're both queer media. You want to do this whole queer media thing?
Don't spoil that on the podcast.
No, no,
God.
I'm dropping a little seed.
Okay,
And I'm gonna wait
slay.
for it to germinate and flower, and then we're gonna reap it.
Germinate. That sounds gross.
That's what seeds do. That's what seeds and spores do. They germinate. That's the
That
verb.
sounds gross. That sounds like you're like
Oh my
getting germs
God.
all over
What do you
yourself. Like,
you are a germaphobe. You not like to the point of like you don't go outside, but you have a germ thing.
I just like being clean. Okay, slay.
Then why are you putting your dick in people?
Because I can clean it afterwards. Anyway.
Oh, you want to talk about Pokemon really quick?
Wait, what was I saying about Kyoshi? Yeah, so it's a very
Read it.
read it. But also because I mentioned about prequels before, how I don't usually like them because you kind of
Yeah.
know where the story is going to go. Same kind of thing with the Kyoshi book. Like you know where it's headed, but like the way that they drop the seeds along the way, and you're like, ooh, like
And they
that.
germinate.
They germinate. Yeah, they germinate the seeds along the way. I just
Yeah.
lived for it. I lived how they progressed because you know where her character is supposed to end up.
Yeah,
But
dead.
I dead.
Well, that's true. It's true. She dies. Maybe not that book, but she's gonna die in the next one.
Anyway, okay, talk about Pokemon. What are we doing?
Oh, just they release some more information about it. That's about it. I mean,
Yeah, what information? We're an informational
uh,
podcast, so what information is it?
well, basically there are like three main plot lines that you can follow in the game, and you can do
Oh,
them kind of in any order you want. So like one is the traditional get all 8 gym badges.
mm-hmm.
One is because like the basis of the game is like you're going to school for Pokemon. So I think one is a school route in terms of like projects, papers, I don't know, exams. And then they
Okay.
didn't really talk about the third one, I don't think. But I've heard some tragic news.
What does that mean?
So the gyms apparently, I don't know if this is true. I love rumors and conjecture.
Okay, this is
The
a rumor.
gyms,
Okay, good.
yeah, unless someone knows it's true and then they can validate it. Apparently the gyms can be done in any order,
Okay, interesting.
but there's no level scaling.
Terrible. Awful.
So like you can go to the eighth gym, but I believe will be too difficult for you to fight as a child.
Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
But some people were like, well, why not just make them have set teams and then just scale them? So every time you beat a gym, it unlocks, like it triggers something in the game that just scales up the gym, all the gyms to the next level. And then every time you beat a gym, it just scaled
Oh.
the next gym up.
Yeah, that'd
Um,
also be interesting, I guess. Yeah, I feel that.
but then it's also like, then you have to worry about the Pokemon trainers at all the routes. Like if route 1 is where you're supposed to start and then you go to route 10 instead of route 2, is route 10 scaled to you or is route 10 scaled to you when you're supposed to get there in the chronological order of the game? So I think there's probably a way for them to scale everything. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
you could be like, okay, once you hit this marker, every Pokemon trainer gets scaled up that you run into until you get to the next marker. And but apparently they're not doing that. So
I mean, because you'd also have to scale the wild Pokemon too, in theory as well. Um, uh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
just feel like with the way Pokemon, just like the concept of it in general, like if I have to fight all 8 gyms, I have to get my level up to do that. Like, I don't know if you can really make it truly open world. Like, yeah, you could run
They're
through the
trying, baby.
parts. You could run through the parts with really high level Pokemon, but you'd probably die.
Does every game have to be open world now?
I mean, I guess they've seen a lot of popularity with it,
But like
coming out of Breath of the Wild.
I like linear storylines. Like I liked
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, but I did not enjoy it anywhere near as much as any other Zelda game. Like of
Hmm.
all the Zelda games that I've played, I haven't played many of them. But of the ones I played, Breath of the Wild in terms of enjoyment isn't that high from a story basis.
Right.
Like the story is, in my opinion, not great because it's kind of rehashing a lot of old plots and then doesn't really fully utilize the open world nature, I don't think. But that's just my opinion because a lot of the world is empty. And I don't like
It's
an empty
true.
open world. Like I want something where everywhere I go I can interact with something. There is something to do. But it's a
Yeah.
lot of it's empty and I don't I would have preferred them to actually scale down the map size and have more events because then it would have felt like a more lived in filled world.
I did really like how Legends Arceus felt though. In terms of
Yes,
it was still a big map. Yes, there was
but it
still
wasn't
limit.
as big.
It wasn't as big, nowhere near as big as Breath of the Wild,
Yeah.
but it was still big enough where you felt like you could explore, and most of it was at least filled because anywhere you go, you'd run into a Pokemon. Like that.
Yes.
At least it felt filled from that perspective.
And
If
also the plot of that game is that humanity is now just starting to kind of colonize this area for lack of a triggering term.
yeah,
So having only one main village and all these little outposts makes sense because this area is completely wild.
yeah,
Now, Breath of the Wild, the civilization the main civilization that had occurred previously was like destroyed by Ganon back then, but you still have all these main hubs where I'd expect there to be more villages. Like the Gorons could have more places, and the Zora people. I don't think they're called Zora in that game.
Isn't that one of the? I think that's one of the person's fish people's names is Zora.
Well, there's yeah, but I think like in Ocarina of Time they were called the Zora people.
Oh, okay. Well,
Ocarina of Time is lit. I
I
just thought about it recently, and I
I
was like,
loved Ocarina of Time.
I loved it, and I loved it playing it on the GameCube. I loved playing on the N64, the GameCube, and the 3DS. I
That
bought all three of them.
that one potentially is my favorite out of all of them.
Oh,
Potentially,
word.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Wind Waker's up there. Mama.
Wind Waker I never beat, so maybe I should go back and play it.
I'm hanging up.
oh,
That art style?
oh yeah,
And you know what?
lovely.
Twilight Princess gets some shit because
That one
people
I
said
that one I never
pe-
played.
people are like, oh, it was trying to be too dark, it's trying to be too gritty. But like, I think that Midna, the side character that helps you out,
Yeah.
one of the most well-developed side characters in a Zelda game. Way better than fucking Navi and her annoying ass shit. Link, watch out.
Oh, listen.
Listen, hey! It's like, fuck off,
Ah,
Navi.
fuck on,
Anyway,
Navi. Do you think
um,
Link and Navi ever got it on?
does she have like a real form? She just looked like a ball of light. Like, is she touchable? I mean, she has to be because you can bottle fairies.
Maybe I. There's definitely 100%
Oh
some
no.
weird ass porn out there of Navi and Link, and I'm gonna find it. Okay.
Who do you think is hotter? Do you think the Great Fairies from Ocarina of Time / Majora's Mask or the Great Fairies from Breath of the Wild? Because Breath of the Wild, they were very full-bodied women,
Right, right.
or full-bodied presenting women, huge breasts.
I I'm gonna be
Ocarina of
honest.
Time,
Go ahead, go ahead.
Ocarina of Time was slimmed down, but she had like fishnets and like plants, and her laugh was so like erotic. I think I don't know. What do you think?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember what the Breath of the Wild ones looked like.
They
Uh,
were
okay,
they
here we
were
go. Here we go.
they
I'm gonna
were
do some quick googling. Okay, Breath. Uh, it's Breath of the Wild fairies.
Great Fairy. The
Great,
Great
great
Fairy.
fairies. Okay, let's look. Images. Oh, oh my goodness.
I mean,
I
she's a
forgot.
woman.
I forgot about these people. Oh my god, they're lovely though. Okay, now we go Ocarina of Time. Great
I mean, the
fairies.
polygons will not do it justice.
Oh, there she is. That. Oh my god.
But do you remember the noise that they make? They go, ah, ha, ha, ha,
I do
ha.
remember. I do.
And I
I.
was like, hot.
Oh my god, it's very pixelated, and honestly, her face is a little scary. I'm gonna go with the Breath of the Wild fairy.
Well, everyone loves an HD woman, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, she just looks a little scary. Although in the HD version, is this real? I don't even know if someone actually. Anyway, she looks pretty in the HD version.
Well, everything looks better in high def.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. Did we talk about Jeanette McCurdy's new book?
Jeanette McCurdy. Who's that bitch?
The person who played Sam from iCarly.
Oh yeah, my I'm happy my mother's dead or having my mom
Yes.
died.
Did we talk about that yet?
I don't know if we did, but I would love to read it.
I would also love to. I don't think we talked about it. I would also love to read it.
Yeah.
I've seen snippets. I've read snippets on
Yeah.
various platforms of social media, mostly on TikTok. I've been seeing people like go through and read certain snippets, and it's just so sad. I
Oh,
feel
it's
really
awful.
bad. I feel really bad.
I think there is a lot of people probably in that circumstance or have been in that circumstance where they are a child actor and that their parents become hyper controlling because they see their child as an object or a means to an end and not
Yeah,
no longer their child. Like this is why some people shouldn't have children.
I've also heard that a lot of people were giving it shit because they're like, oh. You should never say that about a parent. Like they're your parents. You always have to love them.
Okay. This goes back to the whole like if it's their family, you have to love them forever, like my stupid father says sometimes.
Oh,
Sorry, Dad, who never listens to the podcast, but you're being dumb when you say that shit. You're
yeah,
being dumb.
yeah.
Just because I share like a billionth of percentile more DNA with some people than someone else that I'm not biologically related to means nothing. We
Yeah.
all share the same DNA. The variation is just higher between me and someone else than me and a sibling or a relative of mine. And that does not mean I have to love them. Love is a strong thing.
Ah!
And I'll say it again. Love is a strong thing, and you should not just be fucking handing that out to whoever.
No, I agree. I also believe that you can love people outside of your family just as much as you can love people within your family.
Just like I love you.
Yeah. But that's like
Yeah.
romantic love though, you know.
No, no. Like I'm talking about I love you guys more than I love certain family members of mine.
Oh, oh, feel so
Yeah.
touched.
Well, wait till later, you'll feel touched.
Oh, okay, Slay. Anyway, this book, I want to pick it up. I've heard there's an audiobook, and I'm thinking about doing the audiobook.
Yes. I heard that she also reads the audiobook,
Yeah, she narrates it herself, which I'm like,
which I
I want.
love when authors narrate their own audiobook.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm thinking about doing the audiobook. And I just want to hear more about this experience that she had because I like keep comparing her to other people that were also part of like Dan Schneider's little realm that he had. For example, Amanda Bynes or
Yeah.
Ariana Grande or like other people that were kind of in that sphere. And I'm like,
Yeah.
some of them turned
Um,
out good, some of them turned out bad, and it's just
I think they're, ooh, almost dropped my chapstick.
oh
I think, when you're young and you're put in a situation where maybe TV and maybe being, a quote unquote celebrity is not healthy, especially if you're young.
oh yeah, probably not. Definitely not when you're that young. No.
Yeah, I feel like you definitely need someone in your corner who is responsible and not taking advantage of you and objective to sort of help facilitate and guide, which of course I'm sure the mom probably was trying to pretend to be,
Yeah, yeah,
like that's how she probably got away with it. She was like, well, I am trying to look out for her, but like there should be someone who's really there for these people, these young people. So
so
yeah, I
I'm
want
gonna
to.
read it.
Yeah, I mean, she's not, as far as I know, she's not queer, but I'll still read it. I love
Oh
supporting
yeah, we could
women.
review it
I
on the
love
podcast. Yeah.
I love supporting women who hate their parents and family.
Okay, Slay.
You had such brass ovaries to title it that way.
Oh, hello.
Well, you ever hear like, oh, that guy has brass cojones or like he's got brass
Oh.
balls, like
Oh, okay.
tough.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, she don't got, she got ovaries, as far as
Okay.
I know.
Brass ovaries. Okay.
Brass.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, to
Ovaries of
name it
steel.
ovaries of titanium, although I don't think
Mm.
titanium's that tough. But yeah, to name it that and to like stick with that name, because like I'm sure there are people who just see the name alone and are like, I'm not buying it, I'm not reading it.
Yeah.
So just to even know that you're not going to have as big a market
Oh yeah.
doing that and still do it anyway, fuck me.
Because it's a very like I guess you could say rebellious thing to name a book.
Yeah, but it's honest. I love honesty.
Yeah, it's honest and it's going to intrigue a lot of people such as me to see the perspective of such a book. So I will be
Yeah,
reading
I
it.
there. Listen, when some family members of mine die, I think I'll be happy as well.
And you know what? I don't usually read nonfiction. I'm usually very into fiction books, but here we go. I'm gonna read a nonfiction one.
I read a few autobiographies. I read Amy Poehler and Tina Fey's autobiography. Um,
Ooh,
those were nice. It's women. I don't read straight men material.
mood. Very.
Yeah, sorry. You have enough. I don't need to read it.
Oopsie daisies.
Actually, let's be honest. I don't read straight white cis material.
At all. Right.
I try not to. I mean, comic books is it. The good thing is that there's so many people who make a comic book. So even if the writer is straight and cis, someone on the team is not one of those
Someone
things.
on the team is putting their gay markers in that
Their
story.
POC marker, their gay, they're feminine, not man
Not
thing.
man.
Yeah, last thing I want is a man.
End of sentence.
Last thing
End
I
of said.
want.
Last thing I want is a
AI.
man. Same.
Yeah. What else you got?
It sounded like you were gonna say something, so I was like, "Oh, he's got this. He's got this next topic."
Oh no,
Um,
I have a topic. If you want me to get one, I got
no,
one.
here I am. I'm going now. I heard that Q Force was canceled. Did you hear this?
Fuck me. No. I mean, I suspected because we hadn't gotten any news anytime soon.
I know,
Hold
and I'm
on. Give
upset
me.
about it.
I gotta take off my sweater. Hold on.
Oh, in the middle of the podcast, Pat
Give me a
is
moment.
stripping, actively stripping. Oh my God,
I'm
jeez,
just
those
taking off my sweater.
those shoulders though. God,
Oh, those shoulders. Oh, these little things.
ah.
Oh, silly me for taking them out without my permit.
I didn't think you were gonna hear me, but
Oh, these headphones are loud because I'm deaf.
oh well, here we
Yeah, I didn't
are.
hear that it got canceled, but now that I know, it's extremely saddening.
Yeah, I know. I forgot it was on Twitter. I saw it got canceled, and I was like, "Fuck me."
It really sucks because that show got ragged at the beginning of it, but then when it came out,
Oh, it
it
did.
was kind of in people liked it. I thought it was very endearing. I loved it. And then just another fucking fatality, another nail in the coffin of queer media.
I know, and it's sad, and I think the reason we talked about this, Netflix was like cutting their budget in certain places, and one of those places was the LGBTQIA area, I
Yeah.
guess. And unfortunately, that ended with Q Force, which I just looked it up. There was an article August 8th in which Q Force was confirmed to be canceled after one season. It's just sad because I liked the show.
Yeah, and I think it did a really good job of both playing into tropes and subverting them and being in on the joke. Um, which is great because when you get writers and performers who actually embody what you're performing and writing about, you can do that, and it's genuine and it's funny and it's insightful. So
Yeah, so
pour
it's
one out for
upsetting.
the boys and the girls and the they thems that were all involved. Pour one out.
It was a good show. It was good. It got ragged too hard, and I'm sad to see it go.
God, I
You know,
wish
this
I
is
was ragged too hard.
okay. Here I come. No, it's sad for me because I don't typically watch shows that are outside of the mainstream. I feel so I don't
Hmm.
really get like shows get canceled on me very often.
So you're like a phony. You're like
Yeah,
pretentious. You only watch things that are like really popular.
no, I do watch the very popular things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you only watch the really popular things. You don't stray out.
Yeah, I mean,
box.
unless people are like, "Oh my God, you need to watch this show,"
Well, I
because you know
told you
what,
to watch Sandman, and you never did. So
I will calm down. It's always a show.
calm down.
Usually, I won't go and watch a show on my own. I will have to be recommended a show from someone else, like, "Oh, you gotta watch this show." Usually, that show is
Yeah,
within the mainstream, and that's how I end up watching it. So usually, I don't have shows being canceled on me. So
yeah.
seeing this one get canceled on me, I was like, "Oh my God!" So upset.
I'm sorry for you. I really am. I wish I could take all your pain away. But I can't. So I'm not
I
going
just
to.
really need a massage, honestly.
Ew.
Take all the pain away.
First of all, if I'm getting massage, I need a little bit of pain because I need them to work out the areas that are all tightened up, and that hurts a little bit.
Right. You know what? You know this about me, potentially. I don't like when people that are not like professionals give me massages.
I did not know that about you, but then again, that tracks.
Yeah, it's just that I get tense, I feel really easily. So if someone, I don't want to say doesn't know what they're doing, but if it's not someone's job to massage me, I get really tense and I'm like, ugh, I don't want you touching me, basically.
God. Okay. We'll work through that in therapy next week. I got two
Yeah.
massages in Mexico. The first one was fantastic
Mm.
because this man, when he was, I guess, assessing the tightness of my body, knew that like my back and shoulders were the tightest areas, and so he just fucking he got on the top of that table and just fucking
Ah!
kneaded me like dough, like fucking went in. And then he was like, okay, now sit. Like, I thought he meant to like roll over so he could do like the front. No, he's like, no, just sit up. And then he like just fucking went in on my back.
Ah!
And I was like, oh.
Broke it to pieces and put it back together.
And then he's like, okay, that's it. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. It was so good. And then I went to another massage and it was shitty. And then he asked for like to give me a happy ending. And I was like, this is how you make your money. You give me shitty massages, then try to get one. And I said no.
You said no. Dang, dang.
No, I mean, what was I gonna do? Pay him like $100? No.
Oh, you had to pay extra for that? Okay.
Yeah, it's not included.
That would have been fun if it was included. I don't know.
Okay, anyway, no, it's just funny that the professional massage, the really good one, didn't even have a happy ending. It was just fuck my shit up. Not even in
Yeah,
that way,
yeah,
just
yeah.
fuck up my back. And I left and I felt renewed,
I love that for you.
resplendent. Thank you.
Would you
Thank
say
you.
would you say that you felt that your back was raided by the FBI?
You have to work on your transitions because that wasn't good. That was really bad, actually. No, no, no unlawful search and seizure.
Of your back.
No,
Listen, I really tried.
maybe of
I
my guts.
unlawful? That I think that's non-consensual. I don't think we like
This was
that.
a lawful search and seizure of
Law?
my guts.
Yeah, that was my attempt at transitioning to something which I don't think we actually talked about at all because we've been away for a
Yeah,
while. Um,
it's been a while.
I feel like so much has happened in the last 2 weeks, which I think is how long it's been since we recorded last.
Yeah,
Yeah, Donald Trump's home got raided by the FBI, and there's been so
yes.
much going on about it. So many stories, so many things going on. So I want to know what do you think about this?
Well, I think we should defund the FBI. I think it was a complete breach of civil liberties,
Mm-hmm,
the First
mm-hmm.
Amendment. I think
What?
I think, like we should obviously fund the police, duh, but we should defund the FBI because and like how dare they not tell us? Like how could the FBI just work, you know, how dare the FBI like do their job and not before doing a seizure of property tell the
Yeah.
world that they're going to seize properties, so giving the person who owns the property time to remove any incriminating evidence. Like, how
Also,
dare they?
how dare they subpoena the documents months in advance and
And when they never got them, said, "Well, we got to go in and get them
yeah, now we're
ourselves."
going and get them. How they tried to resolve this through many other mediums until they were given no longer a choice.
I mean, how could they expect Trump to do anything? He's so inept.
Oh, um, that floats around an interesting theory where maybe Donald Trump just didn't even know that he had these documents. Maybe.
I mean, yeah, he probably just picked up a bunch of shit he's leaving the White House, and he's like, "I'll figure it out later." And they just got collecting dust in Mar-a-Lago, and then he just, too busy with golf and looking like his body's deteriorating.
Here's the thing about Trump. Besides his
One thing.
besides his body deteriorating,
Yeah, tell me.
people seem to think that he's like this evil mastermind. I think he is dumb as shit. And
Yeah, I think he's extremely inept. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think he's evil mastermind. I don't think he purposely stole. Well, he probably purposely stole the classified document, but I don't think he even knew what he stole or like why he shouldn't have had it in his possession.
Yeah, he probably
Um,
didn't even realize that it was bad for him to take it. He's just like, oh, well, this used to be mine. I can just take it. Like a
exactly,
stapler when someone
exactly.
gets fired from an office job.
Like it's not. I don't think. Obviously, there was malicious intent behind taking stuff, but like,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's like a masterminded plan. Like he had a reason for having these documents. Like he was gonna shoot off nukes
No.
somehow.
No,
Like
I think he's
no,
just a
I just think
fucking
yeah, he's
idiot.
a dumb piece of shit. And I think he's
Yeah.
always been a dumb piece of shit. Even when he's been in office, it's always the his administration around him or people like telling him what to do or things like that. I think he's completely inept and he cannot do anything by himself.
Like his massively deformed, grotesque body isn't filled with evil thoughts. It's just filled with grease.
Mm.
And they kind of just use it to their advantage and use him like a prop and they mold him into different shapes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I also think during Trump's 4 years as president, I don't want to
Mm.
say the country basically ran itself, but it kind of did. Because nothing really
Well,
happened in politically speaking. Um,
well, I mean, there were some bans enacted.
there were some bans. There were the tax cuts, and there were a couple Supreme Court nominations. But
All bad.
other than that, I feel like the country mostly just ran itself. And then when the pandemic hit and Trump was like, "Oh shit, I have to do something," he couldn't do it.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, he can't, he probably couldn't even put IKEA furniture together. Like, and people who say they can't put IKEA furniture together apparently aren't that intelligent because I got a ton of IKEA furniture and I put it all together myself and it has never fallen apart once.
I'm pretty good at putting furniture together. Very surprising, very straight of me to know how to do things, but yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I think to myself, I'm not good at anything except for like following directions out of a box. So it's
Oh my
like I
god.
wish there was a sort of job where I can just capitalize on that ability because then I'd be set.
Literally same though. Like I'll go around and be like, I can't cook anything, but if you put a recipe in front of me and say cook that, I'd be so good at it.
Yeah, like once the box opens and there's an instruction sheet and all the tools, I'm like, okay, give me like, depending how big the thing is, give me like a half hour, 45 minutes, and I'm good.
Yeah, I build so many pieces of furniture by myself too. And I'm like,
Oh
I
yeah,
just follow the instructions. It's not that hard.
I can't trust Kelly with it.
Oh, are you saying he's
You know,
dumb?
no, I'm not saying it. You said it.
I didn't say anything. I was reading your lips.
Anyway, anyway, FBI raided. Yeah, they found some documents. Who knows what's gonna happen next?
Please. They're investigating him for the Espionage Act, and I'm just like, once this man gets charged and goes to jail, I don't believe anything's going to happen to him. That's just the cynical part of me, like thinking that most people that are rich and powerful will never have anything accountable happen to them.
No, they should be held the most accountable, but they never are.
Yeah, I mean, literally, the rich and powerful people never get held accountable for anything. So many things are swept under the rug. The only
Yeah.
person that seemed powerful enough that got held accountable was Jeffrey Epstein, and he got murdered probably in jail.
First of all, he killed himself. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my!
He killed himself. He killed
What was the
himself.
actual story about how he died? Oh, he killed himself. That was the actual story.
Yeah. Yeah, he killed himself, and steel beams can be melted by jet fuel.
Here we go.
Both things are true.
Anyway, you said you had topics. What do you want to talk about?
Well, one of them was the FBI raid, but I can't do that now. So let's talk about the whole WB thing. Warner Brothers Discovery.
What WB things? What happened?
Warner Brothers Discovery merged. Okay.
It merged
And yeah,
with who?
like Discovery and Warner Brothers merged together.
Okay, okay. Slay.
I think they're now called Warner Brothers Discovery or some shit. So during the merger, it had been announced months ago, but it takes a long time for these things to actually get started
Mm-hmm.
because they had to get like certification that it wasn't basically illegal for them to merge, like they weren't becoming almost monopolistic of the
Mm.
entertainment I
Yep.
guess. And so they finally merged, and there was a lot of reshuffling, particularly when it comes to the heads of Warner Brothers and who is in charge of like the film and TV development of Warner Brothers. Particularly, Warner Brothers is known for the DC cinematic universe. Bless you.
Thank you.
DC films, DC shows, things of that nature. Now, there's like this whole big thing. So pre-merger, the Warner Brothers heads were perceived to have not liked Zack Snyder, who did the films. You know, Batman, Superman, Superman, Man of Steel, the Justice League film, which is in part one of the reasons why they don't think they let him, they let him finish his Justice League film, but then finally they let him come back. Blah 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 blah. But they didn't like him. They didn't like his idea for the DCEU because he had a very rigid plan that he wanted to do, and they wanted to expand into a much larger franchise. And he was like, guys, I just want to do these sort of like 5 or 6 films, and that's it. And that'll be like a whole story.
Right.
I think they should have just let him do what he wanted and then make an alternate universe with what they wanted, but fuck my drag. So
Okay.
Zack Snyder is slowly phased out. It looks like they're starting to reboot the DC timeline. Basically, they're announcing new shows, new films. They're talking about how the Flash film will reboot the franchise. Now this
Lol.
merger lol. Now this merger happens, and there are new people in charge. And now there's also a lot of cost cutting happening because whenever a merger happens, they want to reduce the amount of cost that this new company is taking on. So
Right.
films, the film Batgirl is no longer being released, even though it's basically done, except for it needs to be edited. Like all the shooting is basically done
Then
for
why
it.
wouldn't they release it if it's almost done?
Because the rationale of the guy behind it, I think his name is David Slazov Dazzle. I don't know his last name,
Yeah.
but he said that we're no longer releasing movies that we don't believe in and that we don't believe are good. So fuck
So
Batgirl's
they
drag.
they really said Batgirl was not good.
So apparently they shelved Batgirl indefinitely, even though the movie's basically done filming, not edited. And then the directors, the writers, the actors found out at the same time. They weren't notified ahead of time, so it's kind of like being blindsided.
Oh yeah,
And then
yeah.
there are shows that are being canceled, and some other films are like up in the air of whether they're actually going to be made. And now it almost seems like with some of the reshuffling, especially now with his Ezra Miller stuff, that they may not actually reboot the DC universe. They might actually kind of take what was already founded by Zack Snyder and David Ayer, and also James Gunn with the Suicide Squad films and Shazam and all that shit. They might actually take that and try to make something out of it further down the line.
Hmm.
Now, this can
Now,
go into the Ezra Miller thing, where Ezra Miller was recently officially charged with felony of some kind. I forgot, a felony
theft
break-in, I
of something,
believe.
yeah.
And now that had happened months ago, but he was officially just charged recently, I think. And then Ezra Miller submitted a statement, released a statement, and said, like, I'm in a sort of psychological mental crisis. I understand my actions and behavior have not been good. I'm now seeking help. And people were both, some people were very supportive, and some people kind of jumped down his throat and jumped down the throat of his supporters. The argument being that, well, just because you have mental health issues does not release you of any sort of accountability for your actions. And it's not like it automatically means that we cannot hold you accountable. And then the
Right.
supportive people are like, well, you can't hold him accountable. He's not mentally well.
The insanity plea, yeah.
So, I mean, I read the statement and I was like, okay, that's understandable, but you still, there still needs to be an accountability thing. Like, he first needs to seek treatment, and then when he's mentally fit, he should be held accountable, obviously, in some way. Pay out damages, serve time if it's warranted, do some sort of work of some sort, community work. What do you think? I mean, we've been following this Ezra Miller thing for quite a while, and it's reaching its natural conclusion of Ezra Miller was not well, and now he's hopefully seeking
I think
help.
that I'm sorry, if they're not going to release Batgirl because they didn't believe in it, I think that they should just cancel the Flash movie or like remake it or something with a
Yeah,
different actor. They gotta just shelve it. I mean, I'm sorry.
I don't
Uh,
think they're going to.
well, Capitalism, am I right?
There was a meme that was like, this Flash movie has to be so amazing that if Ezra Miller can do all this stuff and they still want to release it. Like they were like the meme is basically like saying like Batgirl was shit, it was a full movie, and the star of it did nothing wrong, but we can't release it.
Yeah, so
The
apparently
Flash
it was shitty and they knew it. Okay.
the Flash apparently is a good movie from what early test screenings said, but Ezra Miller has done some very problematic things, but they still want to release
That
it.
movie has to give the whole audience a happy ending mid movie in order for it to be worth it at this point.
Yeah, they have to get handies for everyone, a little bit of
Handies
mouth
for
stuff.
everyone. Yeah, like they kind of
Um,
open up their armrest and then like a mechanical hand comes out and just
Mechanical. That just sounds like it's very lubed.
yeah, it'll
It's
be a
not
lube.
lubed.
It'll be a mechanical hand, but it will have like
Holding a fleshlight.
okay, Slay. Maybe it'll hold a
For those of
flashlight.
you who don't know, a fleshlight is basically a sex toy that is shaped like a flashlight, but you take off the top and there's something to stick something in.
There's literally basically a vagina in it. I
Or it could, well, they have vagina ones, they have buttholes, they have mouths. They have fancy ones that are like animal, dragon pussies. Anyway,
we were talking about the Flash.
so yeah, I mean, this Warner Brothers thing is going on. Batgirl shelved. I think some shows have been canceled. And now the Flash film, basically it looks like it's still going to be released. And what I've heard is that originally, or so far, it was supposed to be Ben Affleck as the universe's Batman for a little bit. And then the Flash does sort of like the Flashpoint thing where he goes to a different timeline and he meets Michael Keaton's Batman from the Batman Tim Burton film. And then it was supposed to be at the end of the film, Michael Keaton's Batman was supposed to become the main universe Batman. And Ben Affleck's was supposed to basically be phased out because a lot of people thought after the whole Zack Snyder thing and people didn't like him that much that he would be phased out as well. Now I've heard they're actually doing reshoots that will add more Ben Affleck in because they actually want him to stick around. And Ben Affleck is supposed to be cameoing or have a small role in the next Aquaman film. And all I want to say is, if I could just have a moment of your time.
A moment. You have so much of my time. Tell me.
Okay. Ben Affleck is a good Batman. He is.
Okay, so is that your hot take? Or is that
It's not, I don't know if it's a hot take, but I know some people didn't like him. How about this? All Batmen are valid. Val Kilmer, even George Clooney, everyone who plays that character, I think is valid. Even all the people who play Joker, including Jared Leto, I think is valid because you're given a chance to embody a character from a comic that has been presented and portrayed in various ways, but in the most part, he's usually the same thing. A dark, brooding guy who has like emotional trauma, who beats the shit out of people dressed as an animal. There's only so many things you could do with that. So it's up to the actor, the writer, and the director, bless you, to present you with a new or at least different Batman or a different Joker. And I think everyone who's sort of played these characters has presented something different. Have they all been great? No, but I think they're all still valid. And Ben Affleck, in particular, I think did a great job encapsulating the physicality of Batman. He was yoked, huge. The suit that he wore in Batman v Superman is the best Batman suit I've ever seen. In that it's very comic accurate, although I love Robert Pattinson's one in the Batman.
Wow. Give me 1 second to interrupt you because I have to blow my nose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blow it.
Blow it. If you want to entertain our people while this
Okay,
happens.
I'll entertain. So anyway, back to Ben Affleck. I think he's great. I really do. I think he's great, and I think having him around more as Batman, he likes doing it. I don't think he liked working with certain people at WB because I think he's a big friend of Zack Snyder, so having that whole thing happen, especially with Joss Whedon, it wasn't the best, but I think he likes being Batman, and he seems excited to be part of the Aquaman film, and I'm happy to see him again. Welcome back in The Flash. I think they should give him his movie that they were going to do. I think it would be great, and I think Zack Snyder should have the rest of his Justice League films, although I don't know if Ezra Miller should necessarily be in them as the Flash, but you can always recast him.
Yeah, you can recast people. Like, I don't... Listen, you could get a look-alike. Someone who looks like
don't.
Ezra Miller.
I don't even care about that. Recap, the audience knows.
Oh, what happened?
Oops, I hit my keyboard and something happened. The audience knows. The audience can tell the difference. The audience knows what happened. So Ben Affleck's a good Batman, and I might watch Batman v Superman, the full edition, and then the Justice League film, the full edition, because I like it. I like it.
Slay. Do you like me?
I
What
do.
are we?
Related.
Yes, very, very
Why do
far
you always
related.
gotta
Anyway,
quantify it like that? Why can't you just be happy we're related? You always gotta be like, yeah, but it's like so distant.
because
Why can't you just?
I want to keep open the possibility of us fucking.
We can be related and fuck. People do it all the time.
This is in Alabama. God, this is the great state of New
Wow.
Jersey.
Drag our one Alabama listener.
The one Alabama listeners, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Instead of a would you, could you, should you to wrap up, I want to do something different. So
Hmm.
here's what's gonna happen.
What are we gonna
Um,
do?
what?
What are you gonna do?
I'm going to pull up on Twitter. I'm going to search one now. I'm going to pull up a random hot take. I'm
Hmm.
going to search hot take, and then we're going to rate it on whether or not we think it's actually a good hot take or is it a cold take based on what we think.
Are you hot or you cold?
Are you hot or you cold? Or yes, you know.
Are you in or you out? Things I've asked the people I've been with.
Are you in or you out? Okay, let me go ahead and find one. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, oh, this is a pretty
Tell
good
me.
one.
Tell me.
What happened to it? God, it went away.
Well, how did you see it then?
Okay, here I got it back. All
Okay, tell
right,
me.
hot take from Twitter user Paladibun on August 15th. Hot take: if Stranger Things was comfortable enough to use homophobic slurs all the way from season 1, it should have actual LGBT characters be able to say their identities out loud.
Oh. Oh. Well.
So do you think that's a hot or a cold take? Rate it on a scale of 1 to 5.
Oh, that's like a 4.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I I will say it's not a full 5 because I think the show is trying to contextualize it in the time period
Yeah, yeah.
where those homophobic statements are thrown around much more than you'll hear that much more than you'll hear about someone being out because of the fear, because of the lack of safety.
Yeah, I
So,
think it's historically accurate given the time period.
but I think if you are going to write a piece of fiction or anything, if you're going to write a piece that includes queer narrative, it it is beholden to you to fulfill the narrative plotline, bless you, that
Thank
you
you.
started. So it really depends how they stick the landing. Because, they've started it in season one. They haven't even confirmed. Like everyone's like, oh my god, season four all but confirms that Will Byers a faggot. And I'm like, yeah, did you like the statement was all but confirms. Yeah, contextually we can all see he's gay, but the show needs to do a bit more for representation in terms of actually allowing the character, giving the character the freedom and the reward of expressing themselves because he deserves it.
He does deserve it, and this is where I think season 5 is going to be interesting. If they don't actually come out and say this in season 5, I'm going to be upset. I'm just going to say.
I think they will. I think I'm more worried about how it happens. I think it is going to happen. I'm just confused, concerned, bewildered.
All right. But yeah, I'm also going to give this a 4 as well. On the
Yeah.
scale of 1 cold to 5 being hot, I'll give it a 4
Yeah.
as well.
Like you ate a lot of Chipotle and it's coming out the other end.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you sick? Did you get COVID while you were there?
No, no, no.
You better swab because you were in an airport.
I did swab actually, and it came back negative. But
Well,
regardless,
you got to give it another couple days.
okay, fuck me, I guess.
No.
Anyway, that was the hot take. That was the new segment that I'm calling hot or cold, yes or no. I don't know. I'll workshop it. I'll workshop it.
Workshop that, yeah, and then get back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. But I think, yeah, I think it's true. Like if you're going to utilize queer language in a queer story, you have to show the queer.
You got to make it red. Do you think Will and Mike are gonna get together? Probably not.
They absolutely will not because they can't make Mike queer when he clearly hasn't shown any signs of it, and he's been so sort of dismissive of his friend. I don't
Slay.
like that. And
Slay.
also Mike is not like a good person.
Oh. Oh.
Like he's not even a good character. Like he's boring. Like the last two seasons, he hasn't really done anything. The first two, I can see he was actually sort of relevant and useful, but like it's really like his story is he's the he's like sort of like the main character love interest to Elle, but that's it.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, yes.
Like
He
I
doesn't have
get
any
it.
individuality anymore. It's kind of like oh, I don't want to say this, but it's kind of like Mako in season 1 of Legend of Korra, where basically he only existed as the love interest to Korra.
Yeah, he was just he was a tool. He wasn't a character.
Yeah, and he was barely a character later, but anyway, thanks everyone for watching or listening to this episode of the What Did the Gays Think podcast. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at WDTGT Podcast for any updates and also some memes and some other content that we post on there. We also stream on Twitch at What Did the Gamers Think, GAYMERS. Our schedule right now is Mondays and Thursdays at usually around like 8:30 Eastern time.
Mm.
And yeah, if you want to join our Discord, we have a Discord. You can click the link in the description to join us as we have some conversations there. The server is called Pride Empire, so go ahead and join there. And that is it. So thanks, everybody. And I am Mac Lubeck.
And I think Ben Affleck's a good Batman. I really do.
Okay,
He could fucking rail me.
Oh, okay. Goodbye.
Fucking rail me, dude.
Okay.